do you know what? It's been so weird, Alice, because here you are talking to me and I'm in my shed at the bottom of the garden. I've been in Keith Urban's bedroom this year. I've had Dolly Parton below stairs, if you like. And Gloria Estefan was in my kitchen. I mean, to be quite honest, I could get used to this.
I'm in your den now, right?
Am I in your den? This is it, right? Finally. The Godfather.
Well, you're in my studio, but it's a guest bedroom also.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right. Brilliant. Yeah. Well, we're doing what we can, aren't we? To be quite honest, this is my bar. So here's to you.
Don't let that get too far away, the bar. Okay.
no, mate. Anyway, honestly, I told a few people I was chatting with you today, and they were all lit up. There's a lot of love for you, sir. And obviously, everyone's thrilled that you're back with this new album, which is an homage to Detroit, where it all began for you. Tell us about the album.
Well, first of all, I was born there, Detroit. So the DNA, I had that rock and roll DNA in me. Of all the cities in the United States, Detroit is the home of hard rock. Now, LA has the Doors, and, San Francisco had its sound, and New York did. But Detroit had Iggy and the Stooges, the MC5, Bob Seger, Ted Nugent, Susie Quatro, Alice Cooper. We were all hard rock bands, and that was mid-America. And you could not play in Detroit if you were a soft rock band. They would just stone you. They'd throw you out of town.
What was it like back then? The early days of it? Because people always talk about, especially now during the situation that we're in, they talk about the good old days quite a lot. Those memories have been keeping us warm while we've been under lock and key. We
were all local bands. All those bands were local bands. We were just all Detroit bands. So we were all best friends. We spent after every show, there was a party at either the MC5's house or it was at Susie's house, or, there was a party every single night. And it was the healthiest rock scene I'd ever been involved in. Because when you got on stage, that audience expected you to grab them and shake them. They did not want you to woo them. They wanted you to take them, and you had to have an attitude. You had to get up there with an attitude. Well, that was perfect for us. There's no band with more attitude than Alice Cooper.
Amen to that. What do you think the most shocking thing is that you've done, given the fact you have, this moniker of being the Godfather of shock and roll, if you like?
I think the fact that it's gone on for so long. First of all, shock rock was easy in the 70s because there was no internet. Everything was word of mouth. And so by the time we got to the next city, there was 5 new rumors. It was like the Stones or like the Sex Pistols over here. They just kept adding and adding to the point where you had to go see them. You had to. In England, what helped us up more than anything else was Mary Whitehouse and Leo Absey.
Mary Whitehouse. I remember growing up with her.
Because they tried to ban us. They said, well, we can't have these people in our, with Alice Cooper will destroy our youth. And you can't, if you tell the British public they can't see something, they're going to come and see it. How dare you tell us that we can't go see Alice Cooper? And then by the time we got there, the band was really good and the show was really good. So we delivered on all of that. We didn't disappoint anybody with the show. And I think the British got us before America got us. They understood what the theater behind Alice before Americans did.
So you think the internet not being around, when I talk about this with a lot of celebrities and stuff, they're quite relieved when they think about some of the things they may have got up to back then. There were no camera phones and
oh my gosh, yeah.
Right. No one was in danger of going viral. But I suppose the fact that there wasn't any internet added to that mystique for you, didn't it?
Well, also, those were the days of the Hollywood vampires too in LA. It was John Lennon and Keith Moon and myself and Bernie Taupin and Mickey Dolenz. And that was the drinking club, upstairs at the Rainbow. So, I'm very, very fortunate that there was no internet at that point.
That's quite a rogues gallery. To be honest, Alice, that sounds like Hell's Waiting Room, but in a really good way.
It was Tramps. It was LA's Tramps. New York had Max's Kansas City, and LA had this place, the Rainbow, and then of course London had Tramps, and that was the hangout there.
You've been sober for years now, mate. Was there a defining moment when you thought, actually, I've got to pop a cork in it now? This is the end of the road. It could go either way.
Well, throwing up blood on stage is very good. Throwing up blood in a Holiday Inn, nobody's seeing it except your wife. That suddenly got her attention, and she says, "Okay, party's over. Let's go." And you know what? 38 years it's been without a drink now or any drugs or anything like that. And I would not have been here doing this. I'm in better shape now than I was then. I'm 73 and I'm in better shape now than I was back in those days.
You get asked this a lot, I know, but did you regret any of that? Or do you think it was almost like a necessary evil that got?
It was necessary. It was absolutely necessary. I mean, when I sobered up, I never had to go to AA, you know, and to be honest with you, it was a total miracle. God just took it away from me. I woke up one morning and I never had another craving for alcohol or drugs. And my dad was a pastor and my granddad was a pastor. So there was a lot of good prayers going up for me. And it's still to this day. I mean, I have never had a drink. I've never been to AA. And believe me, the word willpower does not exist in my, it's not my willpower. It just was taken away.
And I mean, the temptation must have been huge, though. I mean, that's extraordinary that you didn't go to.
Yeah, it's very funny because normally, let's say you're going to MC the Grammys. Well, I got to fortify myself here somewhat. It never even occurred to me to have a drink because all of a sudden I had self-confidence. I just went, "Hey, I can do this. I don't need that. That's a crutch. You know, I don't need that." So suddenly I was really depending on me, not the crutch.
So do you get that from, you mentioned the faith as being, you know, in your DNA as such, quite literally. Is it a faith that you had that sort of guided you through that time? Because most people would turn back to the liquor, wouldn't they?
Yeah. No, it was the faith. It was, you know, I mean, I understood a miracle when I saw one because I knew that I thought when I came out of the hospital, okay, tomorrow I'm going to sneak a drink somewhere or I'm going to find something to get high on. And it never came, that kind of yearning, that sort of, you know, I have to have something. I got to get something. I sat around waiting for it to happen and it never happened. 38 years later, it still never happened that I ever thought about getting a drink and hiding a bottle or going getting high with somebody. You know, it just was gone.
That's extraordinary. It's the sort of thing that would make me turn to drink, to be quite honest, Alice. I wish I had that willpower, mate. I'm not going to open this fridge. I'm not going to open this fridge.
Here's the funny thing. I can be around alcohol all day. I can be around people smoking all day. And it doesn't affect me one bit. People say, "Oh, do you mind if I have a drink?" I don't care. What do I care? I said, "Yeah, if you drink too much, it's your problem." But I mean, you know, drinking is drinking. It's just not in my world anymore.
Well, you know, obviously we're looking forward here and hopefully to drink responsibly and behave responsibly. When
oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
All right, okay, right. I mean, like, you know, like the emphasis for the pandemic here seems to have been, and I'm not being glib in any way, shape or form, seems to have been, and I know you're a big fan of the UK, as you say, for you, that we embraced you before your fans did in the States, is the opening of the Great British Pub. What have you missed while you've been locked down?
Touring. I mean, honestly, you know, you have to remember our life is touring. For the last 60 years, we're on the road 2/3 of the year. I mean, we had to cancel 190 cities when this whole thing went down. And that was between us and the vampires, Hollywood Vampires. That was, you know, Johnny Depp and Joe Perry and that band. That we had 50 shows that we were doing. And so being off the road is like coming off a drug. You know, you're used to that rhythm. You're used to that. And then at the end of the day, you get to perform. You get in front of that audience and you get that adrenaline rush. And you're at home and you're kind of going, "Well, where's my adrenaline rush tonight?" You know, it's great to be off for a while, but nobody wants to be off for a year. Every band I know is like racehorses at the starting gate. Can't wait to get back on the road.
Amen to that. Amen to that. I mean, the appetite for live music, you know, the way this pandemic has gone, and you talk to people and, you know, trying to save the theaters, trying to save live music venues, however big, you know, because you only ever miss things when they're gone, you know, but you know, praise be, it's all coming back and sooner hopefully than we think, thanks to the
vaccine. You're doing a great job over there. I understand that 20 million people have been vaccinated in England so far. That's amazing. I mean, to me, if there's no germ, why wouldn't you go to a concert? I mean, what are you afraid of? I mean, if it's eradicated, let's have concerts.
Yeah. You and Cheryl have been vaccinated, haven't you?
Oh, I've got one. I've got the first one I've done. I get my second one Tuesday.
And did it feel liberating?
I can't wait. I tell you, to me, I hate shots more than anything in the world, but this is one I'll gladly get, just to get rid of it. And, they do a lot of press on me getting my shots because it encourages people to go ahead and do it. I don't know what they'd be afraid of. The shot doesn't even hurt.
Yeah. I had to remind my mum when she had it, Alice, that she'd actually had it. She rang me later in the day and said, "Did that actually happen, Rich?" I said, "Yes, Mum, you definitely had it." And she was giddy as anything. She wants to get back to the Great British Pub as well. Maybe that's where I get it from. Maybe my mother's the one with the problem, Alice. You mentioned the Hollywood vampires. So obviously still a going concern. And there was hope that you'd come here in August, I understand.
Yeah. In fact, that still may be on. As far as we're concerned, end of August is our target date. So I know that they've been advertising vampires at the end of August, and hopefully that's still going to happen.
That's fantastic news. I assume during this whole pandemic, you've been in touch with Johnny and Joe.
Oh yeah. Johnny was. I think Johnny was smart. I think he went to his island and just nobody was around, so he's not going to catch COVID. But when I talked to him, he says, "Hey, I'm writing all the time. I'm writing all new material." And I said, "Great, Joe's writing material. I'm writing material. So when we get together, we should be able to put that third album out pretty easily."
I've spoken to a lot of artists during this pandemic, as I said to you before, and that creativity, when it's been confined, actually has never been greater for them. It's almost everyone's been given pause to reboot and coming back to the table with even greater work, if you like. Do you feel the same?
I think that this year and next year, you're going to see an avalanche of albums coming out because every single artist I know is either writing or recording, and everybody has a studio. So you know how much material that is? All these bands are going to come out with albums at the same time. That's why I tried to get Detroit Stories out before everybody.
Ever the pro. What was life like for you at home during the whole pandemic that obviously is still ongoing? But with Cheryl, how did you occupy your time? What was it like being with Alice Cooper under lockdown?
Well, the funny thing is that Cheryl's on the road with me all the time, so she had to adjust to being home too. We're together all the time. We've been married 45 years, and she's as much a part of the show. She's like the scariest thing in the show right now. She plays a character named Mademoiselle Guillotine, and she's gorgeous, but I mean, terrifying, but we sat there, for the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you're sitting there going, okay. And then we decided, let's learn to tap dance. So we got a tap dance teacher, and everybody, my kids, my two daughters are also professional dancers and actresses. So they could tap dance like that, and Cheryl could do it like nothing. But all the guys are sitting there going, okay. And I said, well, back in the 30s and 40s, all the movie stars, I don't care if it was John Wayne, could tap dance. Everybody could tap. Boris Karloff could tap dance. And I said, well, then I should be able to tap dance. So we took tap dance lessons.
And how are your feet? Are you light on them?
You know what? I can soft shoe. Yeah. It's never going to show up on my stage, but but just the fact that I know that if I had to, I could do a 40s tap dance. Yeah.
Alex, come on. I want to see you coming down the stairs doing a sort of 42nd Street or a kind of, I've got rhythm, I got music. No,
that's a big part of Alice Cooper, that musical kind of thing. And I have borrowed a lot from Fred Astaire on stage, and Boris Karloff, by the way. But it's just, Alice Cooper's show is people think it's vaudeville. It's like a dark vaudeville.
Yeah.
Because every song has got its own little theater to it. And when Groucho Marx saw it, he said, oh, it's vaudeville. And he used to bring Mae West, Jack Benny, George Burns, all these vaudevillians to the show. And they were not shocked in the least bit because they were all, it's vaudeville. I get it.
Yeah, well, when you think about it, because vaudeville had the board and you brought the blood. So that combination is just fantastic.
Yeah, they were not shocked in the least bit. Fred Astaire came to the show one time and saw, I had 4 dancers and we did a one number that was actually kind of like a Fred Astaire number, but only they were skeletons, right? And Fred loved that. He said, "Oh, that's great. I love that. That's really good." Salvador Dali came to see the show and he says, "Oh, it's surrealism." So everybody saw our show in a different way.
I gather, I've got to let you go now because you're a very busy man, and you've got some gratuitous plugging of your album to do, and I don't blame you, frankly. Gratefully again to that. You're a keen golfer. My dad tried to take me golfing when I was very, very young, and to be quite honest, I would rather drag my nether regions through cut glass than go on a golf course now. What is the fascination with it? I honestly, Alice, I don't get it. Is it just me?
No, it's very much like drugs. Okay, and I'll tell you how. When you're first taking drugs, if you're smoking a joint, let's say, and that first hit, you go, "Oh, that was great." And then you chase that. You always want to get like that first hit again. Same thing with golf. If you hit a great drive, well, then you're willing to hit 8 or 10 bad shots just to hit one more of those good drives. Lord help you if you hit 4 good shots in an 18-hole round, because you're going to go, "I'm going to be back tomorrow," and hit 5 good shots. And if that happens, you get addicted. Then I play 6 days a week, and I play every day for the last 30 years. So yeah, I can play a little. I play tournaments, and I have won probably 100 tournaments.
I'm sure you've played with famous people. Tiger Woods very much in the news.
Oh yeah, boy.
Yeah, that was absolutely shocking. Especially looking at the image of the car, and thank goodness, he escaped, and we're led to believe by the authorities on the scene that he was very lucky to be alive. Tiger and your paths, have they crossed while you've been golfing?
Oh yeah, many times. When you're in fact, one of the greatest compliments that I ever got in my life was they were asking him about celebrity golfers. And he says, "Oh yeah, that guy. Okay, yeah, he can play. Okay, well, no, he's not very good." And they said, "Alice Cooper." And he says, "I wouldn't give him 2 shots aside. In other words, if you were betting with him, he wouldn't give me an advantage of 2 shots." Well, the reality is he could give me 8 shots because he's Tiger Woods. I mean, he could give everybody 5 shots and still beat them. But that was a nice compliment for him to say 2 shots aside. And I went, "Wow, that's very nice."
Well, we wish him all the best. Alice.
Yeah, I think it's just legs. I think it's just he has a couple of compound fractures in his legs. And I don't think there was no drugs involved. There was no alcohol involved. So it was just an accident, Yeah,
an accident. Alice, you've been an absolute delight. I'd go as far as to say that you're one of my favorites. Absolutely. Right up there in the top 5 that I've had in my back garden.
Well, thank you. Hey, I will tell everybody that I was in Dickie's Den. And they won't know what that means, but I'll say, "Oh, you know what? You shouldn't really know. It's only for the upper echelon to know that."
Well, that is the greatest compliment. That's right up there with the compliment that Tiger Woods paid you, my friend. I wish you all the very best with the album, and more than anything, we look forward to a time when we can welcome you back to Blighty.